What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another episode of 1-0. As you see, we got the new mic set up. If you're listening on the audio, just go check it out on YouTube if you got time, or listen to the audio, whichever you prefer. But let's get right into today's episode. Before we get into the main meal, we got to talk about the Cotton Bowl that went down tonight. We got to discuss a couple things here, because if you're just listening, I'm an LSU fan. No faking it for me here, right? Those of you who listen probably know that, but if you're new on YouTube, I got a bone to pick, okay? Because there were so many comparisons throughout this season about Kyle Trask being the next Joe Burrow. And even at the end of the season, everybody was like, well, look at the numbers through 11 games, and it was an all-SEC schedule. Look, first of all, if you're going to compare stats, 5,300 yards, whatever Burrow had, 60 touchdowns. Okay? FBS record. All right. And, I mean, the results of the games. And yes, I get that you could maybe argue that, maybe's a little bit of the wrong word. You can definitely argue that LSU had a more talented cast than Kyle Trask did. But that doesn't change the loss to Texas A&M. That doesn't change the loss to a terrible LSU team. That doesn't change the loss to this Oklahoma team either, 55-20. And I know you can bring up all the excuses. Kyle Pitts is gone. Marco Wilson wasn't there. I'm gonna get his name wrong. I think it's Cardarius Toney, right? Toney for sure. He's gone. Then that just shows what Kyle Trask is in this moment. He's 3 interceptions to OU in the first quarter. What did Joe Burrow do to Oklahoma last year? Oh, that's right. He broke every single college football playoff record in the first half. I look angry. I'm watching myself on the recording, and I looked angry there. But that's just facts. And also, let's address Dan Mullen as well, because this dude went into the SEC championship game, and I'll give him credit. They gave Alabama a fight. We're unbiased here, but he came in the press conference saying, "When we win, dude, are you out of your mind? You're playing Nick Saban, like." You're not going to beat Florida that way, or Alabama, excuse me. Yeah, Florida's going to beat themselves by saying that for sure, but you're not going to beat Bama by going in and saying you're going to beat Bama publicly in a press conference. Like, yeah, dude, you look real tough. That's why you took the L, too. Anyways, in my life, it has always been Bama fans that have annoyed me as an LSU fan. And, to be fair, I couldn't say anything back, because they dominated us except for 2019. Basically, I don't even remember the last time we beat them, but since from 2007 to 2019, and even this year, I hate to say this, but I'm just gonna show you guys that I can be unbiased. Like, they were our daddy, genuinely, every year undefeated season would lose to them and then fall off the rest of the year, So I'm unbiased here, you know what I'm saying? But this Florida team, when I was hearing the Kyle Trask, Joe Burrow comparisons at the beginning of the year, I said, get out of here. I don't care how good he is. I'm not saying he's not elite. I'm not saying he's not one of the best quarterbacks in the country. But he is not on that level. Intangibles, bro, that's a whole nother thing. He's also not as mobile, and he's not as accurate of a thrower. Maybe you can say he has better arm strength, but he's also got 2 inches and 20 pounds on him. So, Joe Burrow could probably throw the ball like that if he was 6'5", 242. So, just want to mention that, and just needed to get that off my chest. Very, very much so. Going back to Dan Mullen. So he's saying things like that. They're comparing Kyle Trask to Joe Burrow. I have never rooted for Alabama in my entire life, but in that SEC championship, I wanted Alabama to win because I just wanted these Florida fans to be put in their place because they were still thinking they were going to win. Dude, you lost to A&M and a 5-5 LSU with a bunch of sophomores with 26 underclassmen playing. Are you out of your mind? Like, oh my gosh, I could go on and on about this, but I like, are you, like, I mean, look, you know, you hear all the Florida man stories about the dudes doing crack. Apparently the entire university down there is doing it. I mean, Gainesville just got to be crack infested because these people are they're smoking it, that's for sure. They're smoking something, man, and it's strong because the things that they were saying is just ridiculous in my opinion. Okay, anyways, let's get on to the main part of the show, and you've probably seen this in the title, but I just had to give my little Florida rant there. And shout out to Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley for showing him what a real coach looks like. And you know what's crazy is that Lincoln Riley's got smacked by every other team in the playoff he's ever been in. So that just shows you how, like, that there's levels to this, and, like, Lincoln Riley can at least make a playoff, and Dan Mullen's just going to get worked by him in preparation. So, anyways, final note there. I was planning to talk about the Spurs game in this episode, but to be honest, I'm having to watch on Reddit streams because I got YouTube TV and Fox Sports Southwest is cut, and my stream did not work tonight. I got to see a little bit of the first half. I saw Keldon run up through LeBron and get a dunk, even though obviously this ended up being an L. And I unfortunately missed my boy DeJounte Murray's career high with 7 boards, 7 assists, and on efficient shooting. So glad to have that jersey. Shout out to him for doing that against stiff competition. And then one more note, because if you guys have been listening to this show, you know how I've been on the start Drew Eubanks over LaMarcus Aldridge train. And Drew made his mistakes in what I saw. But there's one thing that he did that LaMarcus Aldridge has never done in his life, and he never will. What did Drew Eubanks do tonight? I don't care about the score. I don't care about any of that. What did Drew Eubanks do tonight? He blocked LeBron James. He stuffed him. And some other people, too. I'm pretty sure it's Montrezl Harrell. But LaMarcus Aldridge is never blocking LeBron James in his life. I tweeted it out. Follow me on Twitter, @Jude McClaren. LaMarcus would never. He'd never block LeBron James. He'd just stand there and let him go by. Drew's going to hold down that paint, bro. I'm telling you. And if Derek White plays this game, the Spurs have a chance to be in this game. And they run more effective small ball when LaMarcus was not playing. Shout out to DeMar for what he did. Lonnie had a poor shooting night. Keldon had a poor shooting night. Really their first time kind of going up against these guys and, like, starting roles. You know, DeJounte's a little bit ahead of them, so I'm going to give them a mulligan because they're great, you know, and I didn't get to watch too much, but I saw Keldon made some plays, and I'm sure they played good defense and gave effort as always. So they're still developing. They're going to learn from this game. But shout out to DeJounte, and I'm still on the start Drew Eubanks train because he blocked LeBron James. So, I mean, it deserves more minutes in my opinion. But that's really all I got to say about the Spurs game. It's the Lakers. Hopefully they can bounce back after these tough 2 last games. I can't wait until Derek White's back. You guys have heard that from me 1,000 times too. But let's get into the meat and the potatoes. We are one day from the college football playoff. It's Christmas. It's the best time of the year. And I am so happy that it's happening. I just had to take a little moment there. I'm sorry for the pause, but this is my greatest. This is what I look forward to every year. It's the most important games in my favorite sport. All right, let's talk about the first one. Alabama and Notre Dame. Do we even... I feel like I don't even need a segment for this. Like, if Notre Dame wins this game, then, I mean... I don't know. I mean, look, we're in 180 days or 179 days when this is out. We're getting like Pentagon Papers on aliens. So, I mean, maybe. But, like, we're going to have to be smoking what the people in Gainesville are smoking if Notre Dame's winning this game because we would be hallucinating very hard because there's no way that that's happening. Maybe they keep it a little bit close, but honestly, I think that this is going to be like what we saw tonight against Florida and Oklahoma. I think that they're just going to rout them. I mean, I don't look like you can't compete with Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, like, and their full defense. Like, you're not competing with Bama, you know. So, I mean, I could go and dive into this game, but I think that anybody who's anybody is going to realize that, one, the Heisman Trophy winner is on this team, whether it's Devontae Smith or Mac Jones. In my opinion, it's Devontae Smith. 2, Najee Harris is on this team. 3, Nick Saban is the coach. 4, they're going to demolish him. This Bama by a lot. I honestly shouldn't even spend more time on this because I'm just going to repeat myself and just kind of scoff. So, I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'm sure I won't be the only person. And Notre Dame fans, you can come in my mentions and laugh at me, and I'll be like, congrats, you've made my year, because I don't like Bama. They're my biggest rival. So, I mean, it's a win-win for me. I get it right if they smack them, and if Notre Dame puts up a fight, I'm like, LOL, Bama sucks. So, let's go. All right. So let's go to the real game, the game that everybody's wanting to see, and it's the reason that it's the primetime game. Clemson and Ohio State. So there's some people that think that Clemson's going to win this game, especially with OC Tony Elliott being out for the Clemson Tigers. Does the offensive coordinator not being there change that they played 5 more games than them? Or 6? Let me check. Is Clemson 11-0 or 11-1 and 12-1? Let's see here. That's another thing. Even though they didn't have Trevor and some key defensive starters, still has experienced loss in the season, something that Ohio State has not. Okay, Clemson's 10-1, so 5 more games. What has Justin Fields done in the most important games of the season? And I saw a post about how he was telling the media, like, oh, I'm working the hardest I have all year for this game. This training's next level. I'm like, dude, why didn't you train the same every single game? That's what you do if you're a championship player. You don't just like, oh, I'm not going to try in these other games. Maybe that's why you threw 5 interceptions in the most important games of the year. 3 against Indiana. Granted, Indiana, shout out to Indiana. They had a phenomenal season, and I'm so happy that program had a season like this, and they were robbed of the Big Ten championship, even though Ohio State was the best team. I get they should have been in, but still, shout out to Indiana. You win by 1 touchdown against Indiana, throw 3 interceptions, and then how did you play in the Big Ten championship, Justin? Against, honestly, a worse team than Indiana, to keep it real. You play worse? Oh, you played worse? You threw 2 interceptions there, and you went 11 for 27? Let me just double check that here. I've been trying to pull it up, but I'm also trying to be dramatic. Okay, let's see. I got it right. Or 12 for 27. 12 for 27? 114 yards, 2 interceptions, 4.2 average pass, 34.6 QBR. Oh, and Trey Sermon, who transferred from Oklahoma, went for 330 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you got bailed out by your phenomenal running back against a team that has no offense? What did Peyton Ramsey do? 2 interceptions? Oh, Peyton Ramsey played a terrible game, but he still looked better than Justin Fields. Peyton Ramsey's not even that good. 24 for 37, 224 yards, 2 interceptions. And eventually, they stopped throwing the ball with Justin because Trey Sermon was playing so good. Yeah, you can say that's a testament to their defense, but you're about to go play Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. Do you understand? I've said this on a Strive chat before with Joe Cortez. Go check it out on our YouTube page. Do you understand that you're about to go play a team? Trevor Lawrence has never not played in a national championship. And neither has Travis Etienne, who's going into his 4th straight. And yes, I said he's going into it because these dudes have played in those games. They've been through the ups and downs. We saw it last year. They came back. I don't care about Tony Elliott not being there. They're going to be fine on the offensive side of the ball. It would be a bigger deal if Brent Venables wasn't there, because Trevor can run that offense. Dabo's an offensive coach, and they've got a good QB coach too. Like, you're led by Trevor and Travis. Those are your two most experienced players that you're leaning on. You know what I'm saying? So with the OC not being there, it's going to be less of an impact on the offense. Well, it will still have an impact, I'm sure, than it would on the defense with Brent Venables. We've seen this game before, and last year's Ohio State team was better than this one. What is there to tell me about Justin Fields other than that he's the two most important games of the year, he's had his worst two performances. Maybe he plays better in this game, but that doesn't change the fact that the last time he played Clemson, he threw a pick in the end zone at the end of the game. And in Ohio State's going to be like, well, he tripped and that was a fumble and a scoop and score. You still had chances to win that game. And you weren't able to capitalize. And that's the bottom line. Like, yes, those things happen, but those things also happen to everybody else in the country. Like, so there were some bad calls on Clemson in that game. Clemson's best linebacker in the national championship got a bad targeting call, and I'm an LSU fan. He got booted. You didn't see Dabo in the press conference talking about how he was mad at the officiating. Okay? You didn't hear about that against Notre Dame either. And here's the other thing. Ryan Day did the same thing. We're gonna effing beat their what? Whoever we play. Dude, you played 6 games. And you're about to go play Clemson. You don't hear Dabo and Nick saying that stuff. Like, you can see Dabo talking about, I ranked them at 11. But he had a standard. And you can say, oh yeah, Dabo talks, blah, blah, blah. But the difference is Dabo backs it up. Okay? And so, once again, Ryan Day reminds me of a better version of Dan Mullen. So he's never going to make a national championship. And look, if I'm wrong on this, I'm wrong. But Clemson's winning this game. I really think so. I think Trevor's the better quarterback. Travis is they've got more championship DNA. Travis is the better running back. Yeah, I think he's better than Trey Sermon. And here's another example. We saw what Kyle Trask did with his third string receivers. And people are talking about, oh, he had practice squad receivers. What did Trevor Lawrence do with his third stringers? He threw for like 300 yards and 3 touchdowns because he doesn't make excuses, and he's a ball player, and he's the best quarterback in the country. I'm getting frustrated about this, but Ohio State, not even Ohio State, Ryan Day annoys me, man. Him and Dan Mullen annoy me. Those two, and then Tom Herman, that's another one that annoys me. Those 3 coaches should just go out to dinner every night and just, I don't know, do whatever they want, because they need to be away from everybody else and around their self-absorbed selves all around each other, man. You got to be humbled. You got to understand that, that's how you have to go through. You got to go down to go up. Shout out to my man Shanti. Like, you have to go through struggles, and you have to learn from them, and you have to be self-aware, and you have to recognize them to win a championship, and no matter what you're doing. So I don't see that in Ryan Day. I don't see it in, like when Justin Fields is saying, I'm like, good for him that he's saying that. I honestly don't have anything against Justin Fields. He's a talented quarterback. I think there are some guys that are better than him, but he's a very talented player. But that's a mindset that you can't have. You can't be, yes, you want to work harder for these games, but also it shouldn't be like, oh, I'm upping my practice, because that's what he said. Why are you upping your practice? Like, why weren't you practicing that hard in the season? Yes, everybody's going harder, obviously, but nobody else is. Like, Trevor Lawrence isn't out there like, yeah, man, I'm changing up my practice routine. I'm changing it up for this game so I can be real ready. Like, no, they have a standard. That's what Alabama has too. That's what Joe Burrow and the LSU Tigers had last year. That's what these championship teams have. They have a standard that they go after every day. The last time Ohio State had a standard, Urban Meyer was there. He's a championship coach. These are the differences between championship teams and teams that say things to the media. So, my national championship prediction is Alabama and Clemson. I think both of these games will be decided pretty handily. Definitely, Alabama will probably rout Notre Dame, and I could see Clemson routing Ohio State, but because Ohio State is just naturally very talented, I could see it being a 10 to 14 point game. I don't really see it being a touchdown game, though. I think Clemson wins by at least 10 points, 2 scores. But anyways, guys, that is my prediction. That's my little bit of a Spurs rant in here, a little bit of a Florida rant at the beginning as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You've gone 1-0, and I'll catch you guys after the playoff.